Now, the New South Wales Treasurer Matt Keane has triggered something of a revolt by Liberal Party members after claims that he sought to undermine a candidate and that he accused grassroots members of being, quote, a bunch of old, out-of-touch, misogynist men. Now, Caroline, you're the head honcho of the Libs over there in WA. Is he right about Liberal Party members, do you think?
No, I don't think he's right about Liberal Party members. I think that there is a bit harsh. Look, as we know, the Liberal Party is a broad church. Please expect there to be lots of people who disagree with Matt Keane because he's right on one side of it. Look, ultimately, New South Wales is having pre-selections. They've got a state election coming up in March next year. Look, sometimes the results are going to go the way you want and sometimes the results aren't. But what you have to look to is the process. And was the process undertaken properly? And if the process was proper and it was open and it was fair and it was competitive, then, you know, even if you don't like the result, you have to cop that on the chin. You know, we have not as many women in our parliamentary ranks as we would want, but we do have some. And to say that somehow, you know, the entire membership is old misogynistic white men is, quite frankly, like, it's just rude to a whole bunch of people who are in a voluntary capacity. Remember that, Caleb. These are people who come and hand out how to vote cards. Yes. They're people who go and do door knocking. They're people who do all manner of things around the party for the love of it. They are not paid for it. And so for them to be spoken about so broadly in this way, I think is terribly unfair.
Well, and what's he actually doing about it? I mean, you wrote a great piece today in the Daily Telegraph. In it you said, quote, women in politics need to be lauded for ability. Now, Caroline, if gender quotas aren't the answer, and I don't think they are, then what is? I mean, how do we actually address the problem and not the symptom? You've got to attract more women to the Liberal Party in order to get them to run for pre-selection. You can't just start rounding up people and forcing them into pre-selection, can you?
No, you can't really, and ultimately that doesn't really work that well. You know, it's important for women to be involved in the ranks of the party, get to know people in the party, be mentored within the party, having internal and external networks, and really understand what pre-selection is all about, how you go about preparing yourself for pre-selection. And if you've sat in on pre-selections, then at least you know what they look like and how they happen. And look, quite frankly, Caleb, you know, I mean, I'm the acting president at the moment because our president in WA resigned, but I was elected to the position of senior vice president, and I'm a 38-year-old female from an ethnic background. So, you know, it can't be too hard a place to get through. If you do the work, you can get where you want to go.
And you're not a box ticker either, which is
not a box ticker.
And we saw analysis. We saw analysis this week around the demographic of voters, which had something of a warning to the Liberal Party that millennials are getting older but not more conservative. So the question becomes, how does the Liberal Party make sure they're able to appeal to these voters while sticking to their core values rather than adopting left-wing ideas like Matt Keane in New South Wales would advocate? I mean, we've learnt that if you out-left the left, you don't win elections. So what does the party do here?
Well, you can't out-left the left because you need to be an alternative. And I say this all the time, Liberal Party values are beautiful and they're timeless, but we need to get much better at explaining them in the context in the world in which we live. We don't change the values. There's nothing wrong with the values. You don't have to adopt someone else's values. You need to do it the Liberal way. And I always say, and I swear, you know, I go on about this, when Australians have problems or Australians want change, they don't think, oh, what's the left or the right solution to this problem? They say, what is the most effective and functional way to solve this problem? The Liberal Party has had a wonderful history of practical solutions. So can we please get back to practical solutions, you know, personal responsibility, choice, letting people do things their way, giving them a choice instead of being like Labor is, telling everyone that they know what's better for them and here you can have it for free, but we know what's best for you.
Hear, hear. Now, Caroline, I've got to show you this because we've had our fair share of crazy climate protests lately here in Australia, and disrupting traffic and gluing themselves to the floor. And of course, you had this stuff overseas, people throwing mashed potato at paintings and stuff. But I reckon these two German activists take the cake. They glued themselves to a removable railing. Take a look at this. How good is that? Security just pulled them out into the corridor. Brilliant.
Beautiful, and to applause. And look, Caleb, no one ever accused anyone at Extinction Rebellion of being intelligent.
That's for sure. Caroline Di Russo, thank you for joining me on the show tonight.